What's up, everybody? We're live, the C2C CFB Underdog show that needs more abbreviations in the title. Here to talk underdog props, pick 'em slips, and yeah, we have some great games. Ethan and myself are going to talk about the weekday games, a couple Saturday games. This is a pretty awesome weekday slate, actually.
It is, yeah. I think, anytime we get Texas State going against like a mid to low level P5, like P4, I like it. But Friday night has some weirdness too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Texas State's fun. UNLV's fun. Kansas is suddenly, the last couple of years, like a super fun team to watch.
Yeah.
Like Arizona, Kansas State's a great matchup.
Yeah.
So we have plenty to talk about. Real quickly, we can look at last week's action, which we did not do great. I went 1-1. My only win was Dylan Raiola under 8.5 rush yards, which was funny because he had 12 rush yards, I think, in the first half, and then he had 2 sacks and ended at 7.
Yep.
I had Malik Murphy under 205, which was great until overtime and the over hit. What a bad beat. I really liked yours. Luke Lachey over 39.5 yards. Somehow he ended with, like, did he have any catches?
He definitely didn't have 39 yards. That's for sure.
Maybe one catch. And then Burt Auburn, man, that Michigan-Texas game, it almost was like
that's such a bad beat, man.
He missed that first field goal, which was such a weird miss because he's a good kicker.
Yeah.
And you just kind of knew it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Just because they were just milking the clock. They were owning the line of scrimmage. You just kind of were like, all right, so they're just going to score a touchdown every time.
They were too good. Yeah.
Yeah, they were too good, which is shocking. But here we are. So you want to start it off with the Thursday night game, Arizona State, Texas State. I think this is a really good, fun matchup. I mean, what specifically pops out to you when looking at this one for us?
Yeah, I like the higher on McLeod's passing yards. I feel like 248. I just think it's going to be a game script issue where he has the ability to just put up yardage, and even if he's not necessarily successful at converting that into anything points wise, like I still like the yardage there because he's not going to get replaced and he's going to be given every opportunity to throw.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at my numbers because off the cuff, my numbers do not like the passing attack all that much,
really?
But it might be something. If you were to project Jordan McLeod's yards per attempt, what would you think they should be? 8?
Gosh. Yeah.
8.5? Is that too high?
No, I don't think it's too high.
Let's go 8.3. That's a decent uptick. We had it around like 7.4, but some of that stuff impacted by last year's numbers. Obviously, Jordan McLeod is way better than TJ Finley. So we have him around 275, which means over City.
Yeah.
It's over City.
Okay, you scared me.
So now I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, no. I haven't dug into Texas State all that much so far this season. They were one of the last ones to get to. So, yeah, I mean, the over looks good. I mean, Joey Hobart, I think, is a perfectly good over there. I mean, the 65.5 is like kind of teetering on a number that's like significant, but I think that's a good one. I really want to see reception numbers for what I suspect will be a high volume offense. So like Cole Wilson, 50.5 is probably not super appealing to me, but if they come out with like 3.5, I would hammer the over. 4.5, I would still like the over, but it wouldn't be as much of a hammer play type thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What about the big one for me is like Cam Scatabo.
Yeah, I saw that line and I was intrigued by it too. Definitely feels like it should be a Scatabo night. Do you like the rushing or the receiving and rushing more?
So I think I'm going to scare you again because it's so hard to project. What are we expecting out of Scatabo?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to run 65% of the time on a short week.
That's fair.
So we have him at like 52%, and we like his under. We have him around 85 to 88 yards rushing.
Yeah.
102 is like a big number. 102 is like, Taj Brooks, Amarian Hampton, like guys that get insane usage. That offense is worrisome to me because I just don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They have thrown it 40 times to 100 rushing attempts.
Yeah.
And that's just a really steep number that I'm not quite sure if I'm going to play those numbers yet because they had a blowout in week 1. So I don't know. And then I think, did you see those comments about Scatabo against Mississippi State?
No.
He basically was like, it was disrespectful them doing a 3-man defensive line. And so I had to show him what's up.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
And he did show him what's up.
I think I really like this Guillory under here, the lower than 24.5. He's averaging 2 targets per game. I've cut him in a lot of my C2Cs. I was holding on, hoping that maybe he would emerge a little bit more, but really doesn't seem like he's going to be featured in anything this year. So 24.5, I mean, definitely not anything to be scared of.
No, we're going to do this all day, I think, Ethan.
Yeah.
I don't like the over. I think I would avoid Guillory. The problem is
under.
Oh, you like the under? Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, the hard part here is I just don't know how they're going to use Tyson. Is he really going to be like 35 to 40% of targets every game? Are they going to throw it 20 times a game? Or are they going to throw it a normal amount?
Yeah.
One thing that's really interesting is that like Tyson, Guillory, and Stovall played like all the receiver snaps, or I should say like ran all the receiver routes last week, but they didn't really do anything besides Tyson. So I don't mind an under, but it would be a little bit weary. I'd be a little bit weary of him just because like if they do throw it an actual amount, then that's a troublesome number for how much he's going to see the field.
I mean, he's caught 3 passes on 4 targets for 26 yards. So is he going to double his receiving production from the
You're saying there's a chance.
I definitely like it. Granted, I mean, Arizona State should have a decent amount of success against this defense, but
all it takes is one catch.
It's fair. Yeah.
Those numbers are 24.5 is always tough to go under with because of that. But I like the Tyson over. Tyson over feels interesting.
What's he sitting at? 50.5?
Like,
okay. I can do that.
If the volume goes up, he's still going to see a significant amount of usage, I think.
Yeah.
And even at his current usage, he's hovering around that number. So,
yeah, that's fair. Stovall, kind of intriguing too. He's a similar case with Guillory. I would again go lower, but all it takes is one. So
I would now. He's the one I would rather go under on.
Yeah.
Because
even with the smaller number.
Even with the smaller number. They have kind of used them all. I consider him the third option. So I think that puts him down a little bit as the number shows. Right. And I don't think he's like any good. Right. Like I've seen him for years. I don't think he's any good. Guillory.
He's a Nevada transfer, right? Nevada.
Yeah. And he was at Cal before.
Oh, I thought he was Colorado State.
It could have
been
Colorado.
Norvell, I thought.
Could have been Colorado State. It would not have been surprising. Anything else? I mean, the Sam Levitt is super hard to think about just because I liked the number last week and they threw it 20 times. So
I've actually both weeks kind of liked his passing touchdown number. He's been at 1.5, I think both of the first 2 weeks. It's just so hard to say though with game script. Like I don't want to risk touchdowns when Scatabo could just eat. Kind of bummed we don't have an Arizona State kicker to bank on this week. So staying away from Mason Shipley. I feel like G5 kickers are an even bigger gamble than kickers in general. So
I would, kickers are hard to rely on, and then you put the G5 in front of it. I'm not sure I like that at all.
Yeah. You want to go on to UNLV Kansas?
Yeah, Kansas UNLV has a matchup of 2 really awesome, fun, dynamic quarterbacks in Sluka and Daniels. You have a fairly concentrated receiver group for both of them. I was a little surprised to see Luke Grimm kind of be that main target for them, but for Kansas, but it definitely seems to be that way.
Yeah, that backfield, or not the backfield, that receiving core has always kind of been a little bit of a whack-a-mole situation. But Grimm, towards the end of last year, I feel like Grimm kind of separated himself a little bit and started showing out. But then obviously going back to Jalen Daniels, didn't really know if that was going to stick. But I mean, 42% of the team's targets for Grimm, which is just a really great number.
Yeah, he's getting a ton of volume. I can't possibly expect that to continue, but
For sure, yeah.
I don't think it'll drop too much. The guy I'm really interested in here is Lawrence Arnold under, because I don't think he's number one. I don't really think he's number two.
Yeah, he's not. He's gotten 2 targets week 1, 5 targets week 2, and he's solidly in third behind Grimm and Skinner.
Yeah, it was like 5 of maybe, let's see here, 28 or so targets in week 2. So you're looking at under 20% of targets. So that number of 46.5, feel pretty good about. The Highshaw, have you seen the comments by the coaches?
No.
They kind of said like, hey, it's on us. Like we need to get Highshaw, and I think it was Neil. Like I think we need to get Highshaw and Neil going. We both have talked about it, right? Like they use both those guys. Neil is obviously the better one that is going to have a much higher number, but a rush number of 33.5 for a guy that's talented. Highshaw, I mean, I like that.
Is this game in Vegas?
I think it's at Kansas.
Okay. I always get confused because they don't have the at. Okay, UNLV at Kansas there. Okay. I don't know. I think Kansas is going to be able to move the ball against UNLV pretty well. I am probably in on the under for Jalen Daniels, 249.5 passing plus rushing. I don't love what he's been able to put up so far this year. So I'm definitely looking under if I'm looking at anything that he's got there. Ooh. You like Sluka's number at all? The 182.5 passing or the 55.5 rushing?
I mean, Sluka has just looked so good, but I don't know. He is definitely a runner. Yeah. We have him around 201, so technically, yes. Technically, hires are difficult because obvious reasons. Everybody likes to bet over because they're fun, but like the money is typically on unders. Like the amount of we were looking at like at Unabated how we've done with props in like the first 2.5 weeks essentially, and overs have hit at such a low rate compared to unders. We did have some overs win last week. Obviously, there were some nice ones, but typically speaking, that's not what you want to do, and that number is just not high enough for me to consider it. So yeah, they got some random. They love kickers.
They love the kickers. They do. I can't bring myself on any of those. If pressed, Tabor Allen, the 3.5 extra points, I could see pretty easily Kansas being able to put up 4 touchdowns, but I just don't love it. Jalen Daniels has been inconsistent this year. The offense has really sputtered without Kotelnicki there. I don't know if that's,
if that's a trend or if that's just random.
Exactly. So I would be wary of anything there. These tight ends here, Jared Casey and Balunge, they have a nice boost, but I'm not touching either of them. Whenever you see those boosts so high, like
it's for a reason.
It's kind of crazy. Jaden Bradley with a 4.9x.
I'll mention Balunge, the tight end for UNLV. He had some reception/yard props in week 1.
Yeah.
Where the under felt like just an awesome play, and they were, and ultimately great plays. He's going to see 1, maybe 2 targets. So like if he gets like a 1.5 receptions or like 20.5 receiving yards, that's something I'd be definitely interested in under.
Yeah.
So I would just keep a look at. They open those types of things up like game day or closer to it. So keep that in mind.
I've noticed they have been doing that a lot more. I feel like last year there was a lot of they opened everything up early and then back stuff off. But this year I don't feel like they've opened everything up early unless I'm just not hitting it in time. But
I think they do randomly, but it's not consistently.
Yeah.
But is it crazy to like the rookie White under 78.5 receiving yards?
I saw that, and to me, I would feel pretty comfortable with the under.
That's projecting almost half the receiving yards for Sluka.
Yeah, right. I mean, I get it, but
he seems to like DeJesus a pretty good bet.
Yeah, and I mean, it's part of what you were saying about like it's more fun to bet the over, but like part of it too is like unders just feel kind of risky because you're betting against talent, and so it's hard. But no, 78.5 I think is a reasonable under tick here.
Yeah. All right, let's look at the biggest rival for Kansas State game.
Kansas State,
which is do they play the same night? They go back to back same night?
Yeah, ongoing.
Ongoing.
I think 6 o'clock is 6 o'clock Central is the Kansas game, and then 7 Central is the Kansas State game.
I think we have an extraordinary opportunity that will not last forever, and that is hammering unders on Avery Johnson,
yeah,
or his receivers specifically. Yeah. Jace Brown, I had success with under receptions. I think he was at like 5, maybe.
Oof, yeah.
4 last week. I think it was 5 because I was like, I'm not even sweating. This is incredible.
Yeah,
right. The volume is not good for him, for the offense. Yeah. He is not good. And so the receivers are feeling it. Keegan Johnson, even under on that. I mean, like, it is. Yeah. He's going to throw for like $180 a game.
Yeah.
And it's not what they want to do either.
Yeah. 191.5 they've got for the passing too.
What did he end up throwing for last game? He started off awful. You can click.
Yeah,
right
he was. I kind of looked away after I checked in on that at halftime. Trying to pull it up here.
If you actually click on the helmet, it'll pop up.
Oh, will it?
Yeah. If you scroll down. Look at that.
Yeah.
181. Didn't I say 181 or did I say 180?
180.
Thought I nailed it. But like, look at that, right? 23 attempts, 21 attempts. The bowl game last year, 31 attempts. Like, he's just not a very good passer at all.
Yeah.
And like that Tulane game was close. And he still only threw it 23 times.
Yeah. And do you think I think Tulane's probably pretty comparable. I was gonna say, do you think Arizona's a better defense? And then I backed away from that.
It's probably it's probably negligible. It's probably so similar that it's like whatever. It's at home, so that's cool. Tulane game was on the road, but I feel like they're just gonna try to run it. It's what they're best at. So I would look at the unders for the passing attack there specifically.
Yeah.
What are we doing with Tet?
With Tet, what's his number here this week? 95.5. I'd feel pretty cozy with the lower. I'll risk fate.
I mean, he had 2 for 12 against Northern Arizona. It's like, what happened? I feel like he is going to go for 40 yards or 200 yards every game.
Yeah, I'll take the under in that case.
Yeah, I like the under. I have him in like the low 80s, and I think that's like perfectly reasonable.
Yeah. Do you like any of the Fafita numbers over here with I got baited in on the Northwestern Duke game, looking at passing attempts and completions and going with the under on rights under for completions. I think it was at like 18 last week, and then just getting inched out. 32.5 passing attempts for Fafita in a game that maybe Kansas State tries to grind out a little bit.
How many did he attempt last week? Click in and see.
Yeah, let's see here.
31 against New Mexico.
Yeah, 31 against New Mexico, and then Northern Arizona 26.
Yeah, I think I would be more inclined to do the under on the pass yards.
265.5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to be under on the Tet receiving yards, I'd have to be cool with the under on the passing yards, right?
Totally. I get that.
So
I feel like that New Mexico game, though, like they kind of had to throw the ball a little bit more, and he still didn't go over 32.5. Like,
what's up with them? How do you perform so poorly against Northern Arizona?
Brent Brennan, like
I'm so confused on how that happened.
Yeah,
I'm so confused on how that happened. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Fair. I do like the call out though on the Arizona or the Kansas State receivers going lower there. 29.5 on Keegan Johnson, and then with Jace 53.5. Those definitely seemed like.
Yeah, and I'm going to be scouring the site for receptions. because those are the ones I think like 4.5 for Brown. I'd go under on, and same with like Keegan Johnson. Like 3 is probably what it would be at. If it's 3.5, I would love that under for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious if they would drop a Tet reception number either.
If they're going to middle it maybe and go like 5.5 or something.
Yeah, honestly, I'd probably take the higher on that.
I would take the higher too. I would imagine that has to be 6.5 or 7. Would be
I think anything. I think anything under 6.5, I'm going over. 6.5 starts to get a little risky, I think.
Yeah. All right, let's talk LSU, South Carolina. We talked about them on the Campus to Caching podcast that'll come out this week.
For sure, yeah.
We really like the Nussmeier number. Well, I'm sorry. We really like Nussmeier, but that number feels very fair, 303.5.
I mean, he's just passed 300 yards in the first 2 games. I think he was at like 303 last week, 302, and then 308 at USC. So, I mean, it seems pretty right on. How's South Carolina done defensively? I haven't watched a whole lot of them. They've
let the other team have a bunch of plays like 63 and 72, but the yards per play is fairly low. Kentucky was just awful.
So just like bad on third downs, it sounds like.
Yes, sloppy, long drive type games. I think Sellers here, the under looks kind of appealing to me. I'm not really sold on him as a passer.
Yeah,
there's the potential for him to get hurt, which is obviously we don't want him to get hurt, but there's potential for him to get hurt.
Put it out there?
So just say it. What about Josh Williams? LSU running back
going under.
Yeah, Emery is hurt, so that means obviously Williams and Caleb are it. But Caleb to me,
after Emery went down,
nothing.
4 for 19
against Nicholls State. Yeah, so like to me, it's like, all right, well, I think they're going to pass a ton. Like if you look at their previous 2 games, their only 2 games, they've thrown it like 38 times or so each game, and they've run it like 20 to 25 times.
Yeah.
So this is definitely going to be a pass-friendly team. I don't think Williams is all that great, and I think it's conceivable Caleb is the running back 1.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed that we're not getting any like secondary receivers right now for LSU. I think with Hilton questionable, they're a little
waiting,
nervous. They want to see that first.
Waiting.
Kyron, it's a pretty healthy 71.5. Mason Taylor feels like an under might be in play there, 46.5.
Yeah, I would agree.
Last week, 62 against USC. Like,
I probably would just not play that number.
Yeah,
I think I would not play that, and I would go over on Lacey.
Yeah, that's fair. Jared Brown under 39.5.
Anybody in the passing attack is probably worth considering under.
Yeah. Do they have any? I don't think they have any other receivers for them.
No. Looking at their run game, Rocket Sanders number is 64.5.
Yeah.
I think the usage is going to continue to be there, though. And LSU's defense has never been sexy. I mean, Woody Marks hit that number last in the week 1. Now he did need one final run to get there.
Yeah.
But I would be.
I can get on board with that. I think that's a fine play. I mean, he's definitely not the Rocket Sanders he used to be. He's like Honda Civic Sanders right now, but he's
nice.
He's reliable, I guess. He's getting the volume, so I'm okay with it.
All right, let's look at one final game and then make our picks.
Yeah,
Bama, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Yeah, that's up this way. Are we getting suckered into another Jeremy Bernard over?
We are always going to get suckered into the Jeremy Bernard over. What is this thing at 48? It's going to keep dropping until it finally hits. I mean, I would like that for sure. I'm biased. I'm going to keep doing it until it works.
Yeah.
But the one that I actually like the most here, like by a wide margin, is Jalen Milroe over pass yards.
Ooh, okay.
I'm like by a lot. It's like shockingly, to me, this is like shockingly low. Like there's no reason for it to be at 214.
He hasn't passed it yet, but they haven't played anybody where he's needed.
Played anybody. He had 9 attempts, 200 yards.
Yeah.
He did not perform well against USF. That'll happen. But I like that number over a bunch.
I kind of like the Jam Miller over 64.5. we touched on it a little bit when we recorded our podcast, but he's definitely getting the encouraging production so far. So it does seem like he'll maybe take the lead in that backfield.
Yeah, I have him like mid-70s, but that feels a little conservative. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, so I do like the over there as well. I think that's a smart play.
Have we heard anything? Is it my imagination, or did I hear that Walker was questionable this week?
I think he is questionable, and that's why you can only bet touchdowns.
So I feel like that's a natural like pivot. Look at Malusi.
Shea Malusi.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. You would think yes.
Yeah. I mean,
but
it's another one of those, hey, he's done well so far, but who have they played? Like,
yeah, and I'm just not sold fully on like how effective this offense is going to be. Like, do they even know what they're doing? Like 43.5 for Will Pauling is like shockingly low compared to what we thought it would be coming into the year.
Right.
But like, it hasn't moved. I don't see anybody rushing to go bet at the over, like, and that's kind of for a reason. Like, they just haven't looked the same.
Yeah. That's really fair.
So I'm more inclined to just hang tight and see what happens.
Shocker, Graham Nicholson, higher 7 kicking points. I feel like that seems like a good play.
Until they go win 35-20, you get 5 extra points.
Yeah, I know.
Then you're in trouble.
I do think Wisconsin's defense is good enough to force a field goal attempt. But then again, I thought Michigan's defense was right there with Texas. So
college kickers, man. College kickers.
Yeah.
All right, let's make some picks.
I'll
let you go first, just because I don't know what I'm going to do yet. So
same.
Hit me.
Same over here.
Well, I'll go. If you don't have anybody, I'll go.
Go for it. Yeah.
I'll take Jalen Milroe over 214.5.
Gonna make me go all the way back down there. Okay.
214.5.
214.5. Milroe. I really do like that Jace Brown lower 53.5. I think that's
a good one. Yeah, that's a really good one. I'll stay.
Same game?
No, I was gonna say I'll stay in the state. I'll go Kansas. Lawrence or Arnold under 46.5.
Let's see.
Under 46.5.
46.5. Cool. And then let's see. I was kind of feeling nuts, but I think I'm gonna go back up to this same game here. And will they let? I don't know if it doesn't matter for our picks, but I'm gonna go under 249.5 passing and rushing for Jalen Daniels there.
Okay, that's fair. I don't think he's the most appealing of. He's not as cool as he used to be. He just doesn't look the same.
I'm feeling real good about my best balls where I've faded him entirely. So,
yeah, it's one of those situations where like if money was not involved, I would hope that I'm right or wrong because like I think he's such a cool player when he's healthy and like.
Actually, I'm gonna pivot just a little bit here so that we don't have same interests. Since you already picked Arnold, I'm gonna go under on Ricky White. I'm gonna put some gumption behind it.
Okay, so I think consensus. The Ricky White one and the Jace Brown one are very much consensus for us. Like they feel very good. Lawrence, Arnold, kind of. I think we inadvertently agree. Like the Daniels under, and then we're over passing yards. We'll see what happens. Maybe Wisconsin will force them to beat them through the air. We'll see.
One can only hope.
Awesome. Well, hopefully everybody enjoyed the live show. We're going to try to keep doing this every Wednesday. Talk props for the weekday games and a couple of random Saturday games. These are pick'em slips over on Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code C2C to get a deposit bonus. And hope you guys enjoy the show, enjoy the weekend, and happy drafting, guys.